Welcome to our 100th anniversary celebration for the Sqad company here in the Brockton Fire Department. You are all here in a very historically significant building. I'll start out by telling you that you're standing and sitting where the horses used to be years ago. On a damp day, we can still get the smell. Sqad came here in this building, and it's hard to believe that 100 years later, we're celebrating Sqad back in the exact same building that it started in 1909. I think everybody knows the significant historical event that is associated with this building, and that is that Thomas Edison supervised the wiring of this building, and it was the first electrically wired fire station in the country. The City Theater over on the corner of Ward Street was the first theater that was electrically wired. That burned down many, many years ago. And the house right out here in the back of the station on Green Street was the first house that was actually wired by Thomas Edison. So this building has significant historical significance. And I read a 1927 annual report where Chief Daley at the time recommended that we abandon this station because we've totally outgrown it. So for all the elected officials in the room, that was 1927, and here we are today. I'd like to introduce a couple of people that are with us today. I have all the 4 officers that are assigned to Sqad with us today. We work a 4-group system, Group 1, 2, 3, and 4, and Sqad is commanded by an officer in each one of those groups. The first officer to my left here is Captain McGran. He commands Group 3, and he is the commanding officer of Sqad. Captain McGran has the overall command of Sqad, makes decisions on what's going to be done and how the truck is going to be operated. Next to him is Captain Cosgrove. Captain Cosgrove is in Group 1. You will see that Sqad has expanded beyond one piece of apparatus. We now have what we call a TSU. We have a special operations vehicle. The Sqad company actually is comprised, I should say, of 3 vehicles, and Captain Cosgrove keeps an eagle eye on both the TSU and the special operations. Standing next to him is Lieutenant McDonald. Lieutenant McDonald is a seasoned veteran of the department. Looks like he's been around for a long time, and he's in command of Group 2. And the young kid standing on the end that hasn't shaved yet, he's in command of the Sqad in Group 4, Lieutenant Jeff Marchetti. I have 2 Marchettis here, by the way, both brothers. One's on Ladder 1, one's on Sqad, so we kind of keep it in the family. Just a brief history of the Sqad company here. The Brockton Fire Department is a department that's made up of 9 companies. Back when Sqad went in service, we had 9 companies, and here we are 100 years later, and we have 9 companies. My research shows that there was probably over 50 men on the department at any one time. We can't match that today, but we're doing actually more work than they did back in 1909. So, 9 companies. Sqad is one of 9 companies. We, with the 9 companies, operate as a team. There is no one company in this department that can operate by itself. On still alarms, which is a call where one piece goes out the door for a medical or a grass fire or a car fire, that company does operate independently. But when we get a call for an inside fire, for a house fire, we dispatch 4 companies, and all 4 companies have assignments that have to be carried out in the initial stages of that fire. So when we go to a house fire here in Brockton, we send 2 engine companies, we send a ladder company, and we send the Sqad company. The responsibility of the 2 engine companies is to establish a water supply, get hose lines in place, and get water going on to the fire. The responsibility of the ladder company is to do forcible entry, to open up, to allow the engine companies to get into the building, and to ventilate the building to let the smoke, heat, and fire out of the building so the engine companies can go in and do their work. The responsibility of the Sqad company is a search and rescue company. The Sqad company usually will take a hose line, go right in the building, and their primary initial job at this fire is to search the floors of the building, do a primary search to make sure everybody is out of the building. Then the crew can transition into either doing ladder work, engine company work, or whatever we need. So even though sometimes at a fire it looks like it's kind of helter-skelter, it is truly almost like watching a well-honed orchestra, shall I say, where every instrument has to play to make a sound. We're doing the same thing. Every crew has its responsibility, and quite frankly, if each crew doesn't do what they're supposed to do, then we won't be successful. So as far as Squad A is concerned, Squad A is the crew that responds to all building fires in the city. No matter where the fire is in the city, they respond from this station to that fire. It was put together back in 1909 when Chief Marston was the chief of department. Chief Marston was chief from 1892 to 1916. He was chief for 24 years. He was a very young man when he became chief of the department, and he was the first civil service chief of the department. Since 1892, there's only been 8 chiefs of the department. I'm chief number 8. We tend to stay around for a long time. Chief Marston was courted by the Brooklyn Fire Department to leave the city of Brockton and go to Brooklyn to be chief of the Brooklyn Fire Department. That's before it was annexed by New York City. He declined that and stayed here. His vision was to create a company that could quickly get water on a fire and could assist the engine steamer companies, ladder companies, with operations on the fire ground. That was the basis of how Squad A started out. When the first motorized pieces of equipment became in vogue, which was around 1909, the Pope Hartford Company in Hartford, Connecticut, took virtually a touring car, took the body off the touring car, and created a body on that chassis that became a fire truck. And in the case of Brockton, they put a body on there where 10 firefighters could ride. It had a 35-gallon tank, and it had some water on it. And the idea was for Squad A to get there quickly, get a line on the fire, while the steamer companies were getting the hose lines hooked up from hydrants and whatever. There's some interesting stories out there about what Squad A did years ago, and as I read the enterprises back in the 1909, 1910, 1911 era, it was the time when gasoline-powered vehicles were just coming into vogue. They actually took a firefighter here from the city of Brockton and sent him down to Connecticut, and he spent 2 weeks at the factory learning how to drive Squad A. You got to realize back then there was no drivers. They were teamsters. All they drove was horses. So nobody knew how to drive a fire truck that was gasoline powered. There was no rules of the road. You could do whatever you wanted to do. These things went 35 to 40 miles an hour. They drove people off the road. They scared horses. And it's quite funny when you read some of the stories of other cities that were purchasing these vehicles, especially as chief's cars. It seems though the chiefs always got the first one, that they would speed around their community. And there was a lot of newspaper articles about what the dangerous situation they created. So basically, Squad A was created for that reason, so they could respond quickly, get a line on the fire. And it evolved into, today, what you're going to see outside here is a rescue pumper concept, where we've gone from a 35-gallon tank that was operated by soda and acid and water, a chemical, to a pump now that pumps 1,500 gallons per minute. The truck carries 750 gallons of water, and it actually operates as a rescue pumper. We lost Engine Company 1 here about 20 years ago, so Squad A actually is doing double duty. It's doing the job of Squad A, and it's also doing the duty of Engine Company 1. So on a fire where there is no life hazard or where the life hazard has been taken care of, Squad A does the job of Engine Company 1. The crews that are assigned to Squad A are very well trained. They're trained not only in basic firefighting like everybody else is in the city, but they also are trained in Hearst rescue tool operations, airbag operations, hazardous materials. I have firefighters that are assigned to the hazardous materials team that's assigned to the state. We have hazmat training. We have trench rescue We have really evolved into something that is so much larger than what Sqad A was back in 1909. So when you consider that truck that's sitting out in the apparatus floor right now has a 1,500-gallon pump, 750 gallons of water, it's fully enclosed, it's heated, it's air-conditioned, it has air brakes, it's powered by a diesel engine, it has all the comfort creatures. When you look at the pictures of the original 1909, it had no air conditioning, other than Mother Nature. The faster you went, the cooler you got. It had no heat, it had no windshield, it had a crank siren, it had a horn that you had to squeeze to get the horses out of the road and get them out of the way. You'll see in these pictures also that Sqad A is equipped with chains. There was times of years here where the tires, which were smooth pneumatic tires on Sqad A, would get stuck in the mud. So they discovered by putting chains on that they could get through the mud. So you're going to see pictures of Sqad A with leaves on the trees with chains on the tire. And that's what that was all about. I read an article where the town of Easton over in southeastern had a barn fire. It was during the night. They called the Northeastern Company to come down and help them. They couldn't find anybody by telephone in Northeastern that could authorize the Northeastern Department to go to Southeastern, so they ended up calling Brockton, and Sqad A responded to the barn fire over in Easton. So mutual aid goes all the way back to 1909. There's one for you. And the last one that I thought you would get a kick out of is there was a house fire on Copeland Street at the West Bridgewater line. It described how the woman had a wood stove going, and the wood, where the wood stove thimble went through the wall, it got the wall going. And they sent Chemical 3, Hose 2, Steamer 2, and Ladder 2 from Station 2 to Copeland Street. And they sent Chief Marston here and Sqad A. And it describes how they went up Pleasant Street and went down Pond Street, which later became Warren Avenue. And they took a right on Clifton Avenue and took a left on Copeland Street. And as they're going down Copeland Street, Sqad A passed Chief Marston, and they passed all the horses from Station 2, and Sqad A got the first line on the fire at the West Bridgewater line. Now, when you think about it, the horses to go that far, probably going down Copeland Street, were pretty exhausted. I smiled when I read it because when you look at the rules and regulations that we now operate under, it says no apparatus shall pass another apparatus. And that was probably written because of that incident. In the end, when Sqad A, the 1909 Pope Hartford, was replaced, it was retired as Sqad A, and it had a second life. What they did is they took the body off of Sqad A, put a fifth wheel on it, and went up to Battle Street, took the horses away from the Battle Street crew, and mounted the ladder truck trailer on Sqad A. So Sqad A became a tractor pulling Ladder 3's trailer. And it wasn't a tiller operation, just a Sqad A original chassis pulling Ladder 3. All the horses were gone by 1920. Engine 5 was the last one to go. So the transition in this department changed between 1909 and 1920. So that was quite a tumultuous time when you think about it, that really everybody in this department knew about horses. When you read the books, I got sections of the book over here when Sqad A was put in commission. You can read where the horses were taken out to be exercised and all the things that they did. Manure was taken out and horse hay was brought in, and that all changed when motorized equipment came in. So I believe that Chief Marston was a leader of his time who could see the concept of a squad company, implemented it here in Brockton, and it worked very well for us. Following that, other cities around the country, including New York, Detroit, Chicago, all followed that concept. And even today, when you go down to New York City, they have engine squad companies, and they mimic exactly what we're doing right here in Brockton. I was very fortunate. When I came on the department, I spent my entire career on Sqad A, so I'm a little bit partial to Sqad A. But you need to know that every firefighter on this job has a specific job to do. And without everybody working together and doing what they're supposed to do, we will never be successful. Today, we're recognizing the 100th anniversary of Sqad A only because we know of the history of Sqad A, when it started, and here we are 100 years later. So, with that said, that's a little brief history of the squad. And at this point, I would like to ask Senator Kennedy to come up, and he has a few words that he would like to say to us.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you all for inviting me to join you today. Today is an auspicious occasion, to be sure. It is important to remember history. It is right and honorable to remember those who came before us, those individuals who had the foresight and the courage to found this city, establish this fire department, plant the seeds that were nurtured and blossomed into the fine, proud city that we call home. Their spirit is still with us. Their foresight, fulfilled by generations of brave Brockton firefighters. It would be nearly impossible to calculate the number of lives saved, property preserved, history impacted favorably by the bravery, the dedication, and the unwavering service of Squad A, the Flying Squadron's 100 years of remarkable service. May all those firefighters who have passed on have received a rich reward for their labors. All those in service, may they do so with diligence and fortitude, safely under the protection of St. Florian. And may all future firefighters, especially those in Squad A, do so and live up to the rich legacy that is the focus of today's observance. God bless firefighters and their families everywhere, and God bless you.
Recognizing the 100th anniversary of the Brockton Fire Department Squad A from the Massachusetts Senate. Whereas the City of Brockton's Fire Department has long been recognized for its progressive and modernistic initiatives, including being the first fire station in the United States wired for electricity by Thomas Edison himself, following in that tradition the state-of-the-art concept of a flying squadron of rapid responders for fires and emergencies to quickly assess and activate operations immediately at the scene, was a concept that was brought into fruition in the Brockton Fire Department in 1909 under the able and visionary leadership of then Chief Harry Marston. Whereas the critical need in attacking a fire scene is the ability to quickly secure a hose line directly on the structure, thus containing the blaze, a concept revolutionized by the development of the gasoline engine, the creation of Brockton Squad A was to provide a company of specially trained men that could immediately respond and provide critical and valuable assistance to the engine steamer companies and the ladder companies at the scene. Whereas the newly established Brockton Squad A first motorized fire apparatus was purchased from the renowned Pope Hartford Company in Hartford, Connecticut, was a vehicle not much larger than the typical touring car of that era, the adapted firefighting apparatus was transformed into a unique and specialized rapid response fire truck. Whereas this particular vehicle, which cost approximately $4,000, weighed just over 2 tons and was powered by a 4-cylinder 40-horsepower motor that propelled the truck to 35 miles per hour, a speed unheard of in 1909, was equipped with a 35-gallon chemical tank, riding room for 10 men, an open cab with no windshield, a crank siren, 200 feet of small chemical hose, axes, and a bulb squeeze horn, assorted small hand tools, and acetylene headlights. Whereas the customs and fashions of that area put great importance on not only the quality of construction, but the aesthetic beauty of vehicles such as the new Squad A fire truck. It was most striking in its appearance, with its body painted a deep English vermilion red with black and gold stripes. The letters BFD were proudly displayed in white letters on the front radiator, and Squad A Fire Department was hand-painted on the engine cover, with the hood secured by a thick black leather belt and heavy brass buckle. Whereas George Hall, a seasoned firefighter with a solid reputation, was selected by Chief Marston to be the driver of the new auto-chemical Squad A vehicle, he was sent to Connecticut, where he underwent 2 weeks of specialized training at the Pope Hartford factory, learning all the intricacies of operating a gasoline-powered fire truck. Horses were still the primary way of pulling hose wagons, chemical wagons, steamers, and ladder trucks in 1909. Whereas the Squad A vehicle was driven all the way from Hartford, Connecticut to Springfield, Massachusetts, then on to Worcester, many fire departments were very interested in seeing the motorized vehicle and the concept of a flying squadron. A small group of Brockton officials, including Chief Marston and 3 aldermen, traveled by train to Worcester to meet the new Squad A and travel back to Brockton with firefighter George Hall at the wheel. The ride home took 5 arduous hours through a steady rain, and the new truck was covered in mud when it arrived at Station 1. Whereas the new Squad A saw initial temporary service at the Brockton Fair beginning in October 1909, during which time the crew underwent extensive and detailed training as to the total operation of this new and unique vehicle, officially the Autochemical Squad A went into service on November 10th, 1909 at 09:47 a.m. at Station 1, and was assigned to respond to all bell alarms, a tradition and assignment that has continued for a full century, even to this day. Whereas the official crew of 8 members consisted of Assistant Chief William Daly in command, Lieutenant John Totman, Firefighter George Hall, driver, and firefighters Frank Carr, Dan Long, James Murphy, Charles McCarthy, and Francis McNally, the crew proudly wore unique uniforms of red caps with black visors to distinguish the crew, and on the front was a gold letter A. Whereas, because of the immediate success of the Brockton Fire Department's initiative, the Squad A concept became immensely popular and a model for countless other communities to follow Brockton's lead in adopting the concept of a flying squadron as a result of the development of the gasoline engine. Whereas 100 years after its formation, Squad A continues to carry out its mission, but has transformed into a rescue pumper squad that not only carries a crew of 4 members, but now is equipped with a 1,500-gallon per minute pump, 750 gallons of water, a large assortment of manual and powered rescue tools and equipment. Squad A continues to respond to all reported structure fires, medical emergencies, and rescue calls. Resolved that the Massachusetts State Senate offers its hearty and sincere congratulations to the City of Brockton and its esteemed fire department on the occasion of the 100th anniversary of the establishment of Squad A, flying squadron concept of firefighting on November 10th, 1909, excuse me, proving itself to be a leader in the science and execution of fire safety, and offers its best wishes for continued success in all future endeavors of service to the public in ever-important role of public safety. Resolved that a copy of these resolutions be forwarded by the Clerk of the Senate to the esteemed Brockton Fire Department on the occasion of the observance of the 100th anniversary and the establishment of Squad A, the Flying Squadron. Signed by Therese Murray, Senate President, William Welch, Clerk of the Senate, and offered by our own Thomas Patrick Kennedy, State Senator. Thank you, Senator. Very, very well written. I don't know where you got all that information, but it's very accurate. I'd like to introduce now our state representative who wants to bring greetings from the House, Representative Brady.
Before I start, I also have an official citation from our good friend, Senator Thomas Kennedy, and it's to recognize the Brockton Fire Department Squad A for the 100th anniversary, and this is also signed by Senate President Theresa Murray. Thank you. That's from Senator Kennedy. I have a lot of great memories from growing up down the street from this fire station, Station 1. I lived on Pleasant Street all my life until a couple years ago I was lucky enough to be able to buy a house on Ellis Street, which is still in my old neighborhood. And a lot of great memories attending the Bebe Russell School down the street on Oakdale Street when it was an elementary school. And we did field trips to the fire station and a lot of great memories. And I want to thank not only Squad A, but every firefighter who's done their job with due diligence and saving a lot of lives, because the area I represent, not only as a state representative, but as a city council, encompasses part of the core of the city, which gets most of the activity. And as we know, Squad A, year and year and year again, has had the #1 cause not only in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, but in the whole country of the United States. So thank you for all your work you do, and thank you to the families for all their support as well. There's an official citation, be it hereby known, to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to Brockton Fire Department Squad A in recognition of the 100th anniversary of its initiation of the Flying Squadron concept of firefighting, giving firefighters the capability of rapidly responding to a fire utilizing Brockton's first motorized fire apparatus named Squad A, and it's signed by the entire membership of the House, offers best wishes and expresses hope for future good fortune. It's signed by State Representative Christine Canavan, State Representative Geraldine Creedon, offered by myself, State Representative Michael Brady, and signed as well by the Speaker of the House, Robert DeLeo. And the last note, as a Ward 2 council that's represented the area where the Station 1 is located, as well as Squad A, it's been an honor to serve for the many, many years, and I'm still not going here anywhere too far. I'm representing about half the city of Brockton, which is the 9th Plymouth District. I've had tough shoes to fill with our good friend Tom Kennedy, who's done an enormous job for us in the city of Brockton. He's been a great advisor, help, and supporter of me, and he gives me good advice as well, so we keep supporting the public safety personnel, especially our fire department here in Brockton, so thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, very good. I'd like to also recognize, we have one of our retired chiefs with us today. There's only 3 of us left, and thank God for this podium. I got a call this morning from Chief Ed Burrell, who truly wanted to be here today for this ceremony. And he has been having some medical work done on some facial problems that he's had, and he expressed his concern that he didn't feel as though he was up to coming here this morning. So he wants me to convey to you his best wishes to the squad crew, all of the crew, the officers. He was a member of this department for 41 years, chief for about 15 or 16 years. He's a guy that worked till the very last day that he could possibly work. He was 65 and beyond when he left, so he's one of the old war horses. The other old war horse that we have with us today is my predecessor, Chief Jim Hallisey, who again put 40 years in this department, about 14, 15 years as chief. Went through some very difficult times here with Proposition 2.5 and steered the ship straight, and here we are today. So Jim, just stand up to be recognized. And the last one you got is me. All right. We have our mayor-elect with us today, Linda Belzotti. Linda, would you like to say a couple of words?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Chief Galligan, for the opportunity to speak. I'd like to congratulate the current members of Squad A and all those who served in the past for their dedication, and to all the firefighters in the city, retired and current, for what you've done for the residents of Brockton. I know a little bit about making history. It gets a little scary sometimes, but it's a good thing. This has been a rather chaotic week for me, but I appreciate all the support and the good wishes that I've received from everyone, and I look forward to working with the chief and the members of the Brockton Fire Department. As we all know, we'll be struggling through some difficult times, but I truly believe that if we all work together, we can make it through, and we can make Brockton the kind of community that we all want to live in. So I thank you all again for your good wishes. I would like to recognize, as I am still a member of the City Council, so I know if I don't do this, I'll be in trouble. I'd like to recognize my colleagues that are here. Councilor at Large Robert Sullivan was here. The good councilor from Ward 7, Councilor Chris McMillan, is here. I believe the councilor-elect from Ward 2, Tom Monahan, is here, I saw. And also Plymouth County Register of Deeds, John Buckley. And if I forgot anyone, I apologize. Again, I thank you all for your good wishes. I look forward to working with you in the next 2 years, and I congratulate the squad on a wonderful achievement. Thank you all.
I would also like to recognize a good friend of mine who I served a number of years with in my fire chiefs organizations, the past president of the International Fire Chiefs Association, Chief Bob DiPoli, is with us today. Right there. All right, we're about through with this portion of the presentations. I do have one final presentation that I want to make, and I guess I'll do that right now. Cap, you want to come up front here? When we did some searching about the history of Squad A, we discovered that the squad members wore a helmet that is identical to this helmet right here. It was made of tin. Many of the firefighters in the city of Brockton wore that helmet for years, and obviously it became a dangerous helmet as time went on. It transformed from this into a plastic polycarbonate, into leather, and you will not see any more tin helmets. In all the articles that we read about the Squad A when it was first instituted, was that all of the people assigned to Squad A were going to wear red helmets to distinguish them from the engine companies and ladder companies. Also, it vividly talks about a black shield with a gold A on the front of it. And to the best of our knowledge, this is what the original Squad A helmet looked like when Squad A was put in service in 1909. That has transformed now into a red shield with a white A on the front of it. It says on the back here, Squad A, 100 years of service, 1909 to 2009. What I'd like to do today is to present this helmet to the commanding officer of the squad, with the understanding that when it comes time for the commanding officer of the squad to move on, that he will then transfer this helmet to the incoming Squad A commander, and this helmet will always be in the possession of the Squad A commander here at Station 1. So it's my pleasure to you, Cap, to present to you a replica of the original Squad A. Thank you very much. I want to thank all the members of the squad crew who worked very diligently to put today's festivities together. They came to me months ago wanting to do this, and I supported them 100%. And I think it's a wonderful thing that we recognize the squad company and all the people that came before us, and obviously all the people that will come after us. Always remember the Squad A is always part of a team, as I mentioned before. Everybody has a job. The Squad A crew is a unique crew in that it responds to the entire city. I also want to thank Captain Galligan. That has a familiar ring to it. My son Kevin did an awful lot of work putting together a DVD with the assistance of a lot of people, retirees and active people that had pictures of the Squad A crew from the past. So with that, thank you to everybody who did all the work in putting this thing together.
road is long with a many a winding tongue that leads us to who knows where, who knows where. But I'm strong, strong enough to carry him. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. So on we go. His welfare is my concern. No burden is he to bear. We'll get there. For I know he would not encumber me. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. If I'm leaning at all, I'm leaning with sadness that everyone's heart isn't filled with the gladness of love for one another. It's a long, long road from which there is no return. While we're on the way to there, why not share? And the road doesn't weigh me down at all. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. He's my brother. What's a long face? What's all the crying for? Didn't you expect it when you opened your door? Man with the long coat and a long list of victims. Everybody watching knows he's the one keeping the score. From where she sits, everyone stands in judgment. People watching as the curtain falls down. See the lights do a long, slow fade. The show goes on, and the sad sisters go walking on. Everyone watching all along. The show goes on as the earth turns coming in. The summers are gone. Still without you, the show goes on. Some say she's alright, some say she'll never learn. Some rush into thanks, some stand and wait their turn. I've been here all along, standing here all this time, but you never notice that the same tired flames burn. From where I sit, everyone stands in judgment. Everybody watching as the curtain falls down. See the lights do a long, slow fade. Show goes on, and the sad sisters go walking on. Everyone watching all along. Show goes on as the earth turns coming in. The summers are gone. Still without you, the show goes on. Time is passing, slowly passing you by. You better try to find it before it passes you by. As I watch you walk into another cold dawn, keep on walking, and they keep on talking all along.
we want to do the work to protect the city, and the support that we get from the people and the elected officials is so important to allow us to continue to do the work that we want to do.